Silas Doyle-Burr, and my folks are Sam Burr and Eugenie Doyle. They're the founders of the farm, which is Last Resort Farm. We're located in Moncton, and as my folks took over this farm, which used to be a dairy, we were a dairy until 1993, and so they bought the place in '87. Well, I grew up here on the farm. I'm not sure if that counts as years of farming, but yeah, I went to college in New York, and then when I graduated, I actually worked in China for 2 years doing agribusiness consulting, which is kind of the complete opposite of what I do now. But then after that 2-year period, I came back and have been working with my folks. And 2 years ago, I signed a lease to own agreement with my folks, and so kind of taking over operations. So how long have I been farming? Most of my life, I guess. We grow right now right around 26 different crops, a lot of berries. Strawberries are a big crop for us. We do pick your own, wholesale, retail. And then we also do a lot of garlic. That's been kind of a specialty crop for us that my mom really has spearheaded, and we grow a ton of different varieties. And it's something that in terms of quality, she's really perfected for us. And then actually, in terms of revenue, our largest crop still is hay. We do about 90 acres of hay. For Vermont, I'd say we're probably middle ground in terms of size for produce farms. We do probably we're just over 10 acres in terms of berries and vegetables. 15 if you count all the cover cropping as well, and then like I said, 80 to 90 acres of hay, and then we also do 1,200 taps of maple syrup or sugaring. Our space is new as of this year, and last year when this area that we're in right here, the farm stand, or what is now the farm stand, was a combination of a farm stand and a wash and pack facility, and so just too many days of having incredibly poor flow, just a lot of disorganization. Really provided a lot of impetus for us to figure out how can we make this easier. I think one of our goals has been to expand the retail facet of our operation, but also from a food safety concern. It was, we have the produce that we're selling sort of in the same facility that we're washing and getting things clean. Doesn't make any sense. There were a lot of folks that we worked with, and we did a lot of background research before figuring out what the final design was. So many thanks to UVM Extension, but also worked closely with Richard Wiswall, who's tremendously helpful, and we just toured around and looked at different farms, facilities, and I wouldn't say that we really perfected it, but for now the system is working pretty well for us. So the layout basically is we wanted to make sure that we had sort of designated flow. Basically, produce comes in from one end, and we try to be as consistent as possible as to where all the unclean produce is coming from, and then has a designated area of where it goes out. We've been doing some slight tinkering, and we're putting in a loading dock right now. So the flow has kind of gotten a little congested, but when everything's all said and done, the flow will be in one end and then out the other, and that's how it will consistently be. So we've gotten 2 grants for this, and then I think we're looking at about $60K total so far for everything, and so yeah, I can see how that would maybe be a cost barrier for a lot of farms, but we'll be using this a lot. So that's and it'll allow us, so year-round use. But obviously, and I think this was something you want to talk about, but retrofitting into the dairy barn did have its challenges, and so there was a lot of labor on our end that factors into that cost, which would be chiseling out concrete and just prepping everything and figuring out how to insulate, and then also the water issue, that if you're starting new construction might be a lot easier. So there were a couple sort of key points that I wanted to focus on for this project. One was slope to drain, so being able to removal of wash water immediately and making it easy and convenient. And then having, I think in terms of food safety, in terms of where the drain water goes and having a safe place for that and making sure that we were up to standards. 2% grade, and this is actually, so like I said, we used to be a dairy farm, so this is the old gutter that we basically just got a nice steady slope in there, and we did have to do some work in terms of installing a sediment drain, so this was a D-box, and that is not fun to clean out, is it, Olivia?
Really? It's not too bad.
And yeah, so that, I think that's actually the most important and key feature that we have here. Other key features were just washability and cleanability. So having nice smooth surfaces like this truss core, which is a material that I really like working with. It's incredibly easy to install. Cost-wise, it's not cheap, but in terms of comparing to other materials, I think it was right there, competitive. I did look at the barn board, dairy board that we have in the old milk house, which is now the farm stand. And this, just because of the ease of installation, you actually don't even need any plywood or sheathing for it. It was just, based on labor savings, it seemed to come up on top. So other things, and I think, from the other videos that you have had, these were just things that we've learned from other folks, but putting, tables, barrel washer, our green spinner, all on casters was a good, important thing to do. And probably see things could be a lot better organized, so we're still trying to figure it out. But having designated areas for harvest containers versus wash and pack containers versus shipping containers was also sort of a main focus of ours. For greens, spinach, we use the triple bay sink. And then for, if we want like a dunk tank, we actually have a dunk tank outside, which is larger. And we try to remove as much sediment out there as possible before bringing it in here, just because of, like I was talking about with the sediment tank or the D-box, it's not a fun job to clean that out once a week. And you just get an abiotic environment and some smells that, that aren't fun. But yeah, so we have this small stainless steel tank that's, if we're doing sweet potatoes or something real quick, we'll just toss them in there. We do not have a brush washer. We have a barrel washer, which is, most of our root crops, that's what we use. And we've been looking at a conveyor rinser. And so I think at the moment, that's probably what our next step is going to be.